The day started like any other in the small, crowded apartment where Alina lived with her mother. Sunlight tried to fight its way through the thin curtains, but it couldn't erase the heavy atmosphere that hung in the room. Alina's mother had been sick for weeks, her cough growing deeper, her body weaker with every passing day. That morning, as Alina was preparing tea, she suddenly heard a crash, the sound of a tray falling. She turned to see her mother clutching her chest, gasping for breath. "Ami!" Alina screamed, rushing to her side. She held her mother's trembling hands, her own heart pounding in terror. Neighbors came running, helping her call an ambulance. At the hospital, the doctors surrounded her mother with urgent voices. After what felt like an eternity, one of them came out, his face grave. "She needs immediate surgery," he said. "Without it, she won't survive. The cost will be around 10 lakh rupees. The words hit Alina like thunder. 10 lakh! She could barely afford rent, let alone such a massive amount. Her legs felt weak, but she held onto the wall, refusing to break down. The next few days were a blur of rejection and humiliation. She went to relatives, old family friends, even her workplace, begging for help. Everyone gave excuses. Some said they didn't have enough money. Others simply shut the door in her face. Each rejection carved deeper wounds in her heart. One evening, sitting outside the hospital on a cold bench, she looked up at the sky, tears blurring her vision. Ya Allah, where do I go now? How do I save her? Her desperation echoed into the night. Just then, a nurse quietly mentioned that a powerful businessman often donated for medical causes. Aariz Khan, the CEO of Khan Enterprises. The name was familiar only because the entire city spoke of him. Cold-hearted, ruthless, a man no one dared to defy. He wasn't known for kindness, but for his power. Still, when a mother's life hangs by a thread, even the faintest ray of hope feels like a miracle. Alina wiped her tears, took a deep breath, and made a decision. She would go to him. She didn't know what price she would have to pay, but she knew she had no choice. That night, with trembling hands, she looked up his company's address. The shining skyscraper felt like a world far away from her own poverty-stricken life. But her mother's face gave her courage. Tomorrow she would stand before Aariz Khan. Tomorrow, her life would change forever. The next morning, Alina stood outside the tallest building in the city, Khan Enterprises. Tower, the glass skyscraper, seemed to mock her, glittering with power and wealth she could never imagine touching. She tightened her grip on her worn-out purse, whispering a prayer under her breath. For Ami, only for Ami. Inside, the marble floors gleamed, and men in sharp suits moved briskly through the grand lobby. Alina felt small in her simple dress, the stares of strangers burning into her, but she didn't stop. She went straight to the receptionist and asked for an appointment with the CEO. The woman laughed bitterly at first. What was a poor girl doing here? But when Alina refused to leave, security was about to escort her away when a manager intervened. Fine, let her in. If she dares face Mr. Khan, let's see how long she lasts. Moments later, Alina found herself in Aariz Khan's office. The room was vast, walls lined with books, and the city skyline stretched endlessly beyond the glass windows. Behind a dark oak desk sat the man everyone feared. Aariz Khan, his tailored suit, sharp features, and piercing eyes radiated authority. What do you want? His voice was cold, his gaze unwavering. Alina swallowed her fear. My mother, she's dying. She needs surgery. I don't have the money. Please help me. Her voice cracked, but she stood tall, refusing to let her tears weaken her resolve. Aariz leaned back in his chair, studying her. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then he smirked, a cruel curve of his lips. You think I'm a charity? Alina lowered her gaze, shame washing over her. I'll do anything, please. His words cut through the air like a knife. Spend one night with me. Alina froze. Her heart stopped. What? You heard me. His tone remained calm, almost casual, as if he were discussing a business deal. One night. In exchange, I'll cover all your mother's expenses. The choice is yours. The room spun around her. Her dignity screamed no, but the image of her mother's pale face in the hospital bed broke her soul. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't look away. I'll give you time to think, Aariz said, his voice like ice. But don't take too long. Your mother doesn't have that luxury." As Alina walked out of his office, her heart shattered into pieces. The city lights blurred through her tears. She had come seeking mercy but found only cruelty. And yet, deep inside, a quiet voice reminded her she had no choice. Alina sat alone in her dimly lit room that night, staring at her mother's frail body sleeping on the hospital bed. The doctor's words echoed in her mind. Without surgery, she won't survive. Her heart battled with itself. Dignity against desperation, pride against love. Finally, she made her decision. With trembling hands, she dialed the number on the business card given to her by Aariz's secretary. Her voice shook. I accept your condition." On the other end, silence lingered for a moment before Aariz replied in his deep, steady tone, "Good, tonight, my place." When the black car arrived, Alina felt as though she was walking to her own execution. The city lights blurred past the tinted windows as she sat silently, her hands clenched together, whispering prayers. By the time she reached his lavish penthouse, her soul felt heavy as stone. Inside, the luxury around her only deepened her pain. Crystal chandeliers sparkled. Soft music played in the background, and the aroma of expensive wine filled the air. But all Alina felt was fear. Aariz appeared, dressed in a simple black shirt now, his usual corporate armor gone. His sharp eyes studied her, not with mockery this time, but with something more complex, something unreadable. "You're nervous," he said quietly. Alina lifted her chin, though her voice trembled. "Just get this over with." A shadow flickered in his gaze. For a man known for cruelty, he suddenly seemed hesitant. Instead of touching her immediately, he poured a glass of water and handed it to her. "Sit, breathe." Alina looked at him confused. Wasn't this the monster who had brought her pain? Yet in those brief moments, he wasn't cruel. He was silent, conflicted, even gentle. That night was not what Alina had imagined. Yes, it broke her heart. Yes, it tore at her soul. But there were moments, strange, fleeting moments, where she saw something in him, a softness buried beneath years of stone. He didn't treat her roughly. He looked at her as if she was someone he knew, someone he couldn't harm. When the night finally ended, Alina lay awake, staring at the ceiling of his penthouse, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. Beside her, Aariz sat by the window, cigarette in hand, lost in thought. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes carried a storm. For Alina, it was a night of sacrifice. For Aariz, it was the beginning of recognition. The pale light of dawn crept through the tall glass windows of Aariz Khan's penthouse. Alina sat quietly on the edge of the bed, her dupatta wrapped tightly around her shoulders, as if it could shield her from the shame burning inside. Her eyes were swollen from tears that had refused to stop all night. She wanted to run away, disappear before the world could see what she had done. But her body felt heavy, her soul weighed down by the bargain she had made. Behind her, Aariz stood silently gazing at her. His usual mask of arrogance was gone. Something else stirred in his eyes, a strange familiarity that unsettled him. Finally, he spoke. His voice was softer than she had ever heard. "Alina." Her head snapped up in shock. He had said her name not as a stranger would, but as someone who had known it for years. "How do you—" Her voice cracked. Aariz stepped closer, searching her face like a man chasing a long-lost memory. "It's really you, isn't it? You're that Alina from the village, the girl who used to climb mango trees and beat me at marbles. The girl who gave me her notebook when I lost mine in the rain." Alina froze, her breath caught in her throat. Childhood memories rushed back. The laughter in the dusty village lanes, the boy with mischievous eyes who had been her best friend, her secret dream. She whispered almost to herself, "Aariz." His lips curved in a bittersweet smile. "I thought I lost you forever, but here you are, in front of me." Tears filled Alina's eyes again, but this time, they weren't just from shame. They were from the cruel irony of fate. The boy she once trusted, with her heart, had grown into the man who had forced her into the most painful decision of her life. Her voice trembled with anger and sorrow. "You're that Aariz?" "My Aariz, then why? Why did you do this to me?" Aariz's face darkened. He looked away, guilt flickering in his eyes. "I didn't recognize you at first. I swear I thought you were just another—" He stopped himself, shame tightening his jaw. Alina clutched her dupatta tighter, her body shaking. The room felt like it was spinning. She wanted to scream, to curse him, to hate him. Yet deep inside, her heart ached with the pain of recognition. The boy she had loved had become the man who had broken her. The silence between them was suffocating. Alina stood by the window of the penthouse, staring at the skyline where the sun now painted the city golden. But her heart felt only darkness. Behind her, Aariz lingered, his expression torn between guilt and longing. "Do you remember?" he began quietly. "The day we skipped school to play by the river. You slipped and I pulled you out. You promised me you'd never forget me." His lips curved faintly, though his eyes carried regret. "I never forgot you, Alina." Her throat tightened. Memories came flooding back. 2 barefoot children racing in the fields, laughter echoing through dusty lanes, whispered promises beneath the old neem tree. Back then, life had been simple, filled with dreams too big for their small village. But that boy was gone. In his place stood a man who had crushed her pride with one cruel bargain. Alina turned, her voice trembling but sharp. "Yes, I remember. I remember the boy who swore to protect me. The one who said he'd never let me cry. Tell me, Aariz, what happened to him? Because the man standing here is a stranger." Aariz flinched as if struck. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched across his face. "I've changed. Life forced me to change. But when I saw you, when I realized who you were, Alina, I swear I felt like that boy again." Her eyes welled with tears, but she refused to let them fall. "You felt like that boy? Then why didn't you act like him when I begged for my mother's life? Why did you put me through this?" His chest rose and fell heavily. For once, the mighty CEO had no words. He lowered his gaze, shame softening his sharp features. "I was wrong," he whispered. "I can't take back what I did, but I want to make it right. I don't want to lose you again." Alina's heart twisted. Part of her longed to believe him, to trust the boy she once loved. But the wound of last night was too fresh, too deep. She shook her head. "No, Aariz, some wounds don't heal with apologies. Some scars stay forever." Her words echoed in the room, leaving Aariz hollow. He reached out a hand, but she stepped back, her eyes blazing with hurt. In that moment, it was clear. The innocence they once shared was gone. What remained was a battlefield of love and betrayal. Days passed, but Alina couldn't erase the storm inside her. Every time she looked at her mother, slowly recovering in the hospital bed, she felt relief but also guilt. Relief that her mother was alive. Guilt for the price she had paid. She avoided Aariz as much as she could, yet he found ways to cross her path. Flowers arrived at the hospital every morning. White lilies, her childhood favorite. Expensive medicines and a private nurse suddenly appeared, all arranged discreetly under his name. Alina's heart warred with itself. She hated him for what he had forced her to do. But deep inside, she saw the boy she once knew, hidden behind the mask of a ruthless CEO. That boy still had the power to make her heart ache. One evening, as she stepped out of the hospital, she found Aariz waiting by his sleek black car. His eyes softened when they met hers, though hers burned with anger. "Why are you here?" she demanded. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Because I can't stay away. I know I hurt you, Alina. I'll regret that for the rest of my life, but I want to fix it. Let me try." Her chest tightened. "Fix it? How do you fix what you broke? How do you give me back the piece of myself I lost that night?" His jaw clenched, pain flickering in his eyes. "I don't have the answer. All I know is, when I look at you, I see the girl I once loved, the girl I never stopped loving, and I'll do anything to earn her forgiveness." Alina's voice shook, but she stood tall. "Love isn't bought with guilt. Aariz, you can't erase what you did with flowers and apologies." A silence hung between them, heavy and raw. Aariz reached out, gently touching her wrist. She froze, her body trembling at the familiar warmth. "I'll wait, Alina," he whispered. "Even if it takes a lifetime, I'll wait for the day you stop hating me." Her heart wavered, but her pride pulled her back. She yanked her hand away, her eyes glistening with unspoken tears. "Don't wait," she said, her voice breaking. "Because I'll never forgive you." She turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing in the night. Aariz stood rooted in place, his heart torn apart. For the first time in years, The man who had everything felt powerless, and Alina felt more conflicted than ever. The hospital room smelled faintly of antiseptic and fresh flowers. Alina sat beside her mother's bed, spoon-feeding her warm soup. Her mother, though weak, smiled gently. "You've lost weight, Betty. Have you even been eating?" Alina forced a smile. "Don't worry about me, Ami. Just focus on getting better." But her mother's eyes, those tender, knowing eyes, saw through her. "You've been crying," she said softly. "I can tell. Something is weighing on your heart." Alina froze, her hands trembling slightly as she placed the bowl back on the tray. She couldn't bring herself to confess. How could she tell her mother the truth? How could she break her fragile heart with the knowledge of what Alina had done? Later that evening, Aariz entered the hospital room, carrying another bouquet of lilies. Her mother's face lit up in surprise. "Oh, so this is the man who's been helping us." Alina stiffened, her breath caught in her throat. Aariz smiled politely, bowing his head in greeting. "Assalamu alaikum, Auntie. I'm glad to see you recovering." Her mother's eyes twinkled as she looked between them. "Allah has sent you as our guardian angel. But tell me, Beta, are you helping only because of my health or because of my daughter?" Alina's heart skipped a beat. "Ami!" she whispered in protest, her cheeks flushing, but Aariz's gaze softened. He looked at Alina for a long moment before turning back to her mother. "Because of both," he said honestly. Her mother chuckled, but her expression grew serious as she reached for Alina's hand. "Betty, I may be weak, but I am not blind. This man cares for you. I can see it in his eyes. The question is, do you care for him?" Alina's throat closed. She pulled her hand away, blinking back tears. "No, Ami, don't think like that. He's just helping." But her mother's words followed her long after Aariz left. That night, as she sat by the hospital window, Alina stared at the city lights, her mind spiraling. Her mother had asked the very question she had been trying to bury deep inside. Did she still love him? By now, whispers had begun to spread like wildfire inside Khan Enterprises. Employees noticed the frequent visits of a simple girl to their CEO. Some mocked, some speculated, but all were curious. How could a man as powerful and untouchable as Aariz Khan be linked to a poor girl from the hospital corridors? One afternoon, Alina went to deliver some papers. Aariz had arranged for her mother's continued care. As she walked through the marble lobby of the office tower, she felt dozens of eyes on her. Some women in sleek dresses whispered behind manicured hands. A group of young men chuckled cruelly. "Look at her. Plain clothes, no makeup. She doesn't belong here. I heard she's the CEO's new charity project." Their laughter cut through Alina like knives. Her cheeks burned, but she kept her head high, refusing to let them see her pain. When she entered Aariz's office, he immediately noticed her red eyes. "What happened?" he demanded. "Nothing," she said quickly, trying to hide her trembling hands. But Aariz wasn't fooled. He walked around his desk, gently lifting her chin so her eyes met his. "Tell me." Alina broke. "They're laughing at me. They're saying I don't belong here, that I'm just some poor girl you picked up." Her voice cracked, and she pulled away. "And maybe they're right. I don't belong in your world, Aariz." His eyes hardened. Without hesitation, he called in his assistant. "From now on, no one, and I mean no one, disrespects Miss Alina. Anyone caught gossiping will be fired immediately." His voice was sharp, dangerous. The assistant nodded quickly and left. Alina shook her head in disbelief. "You can't protect me from the whole world." "I don't care about the world," Aariz replied firmly. "Let them talk. Let them think what they want. All I care about is you." Her heart trembled at his words, but her pride still stood like a wall. "You say that, Aariz, but you're the one who put me in this place to begin with." The storm outside mirrored the one inside her chest. As rain lashed against the glass windows of his office, Alina realized her secret was no longer hers alone. The world had begun to see, and with it came a storm that neither of them could escape. Alina's chest felt heavy as she stood outside Aariz's penthouse door. For days she had avoided him, drowning in shame and anger. But now her mother's hopeful words, the whispers of the office, and Aariz's fierce protectiveness had all tangled inside her heart. She needed answers. When the door opened, Aariz's eyes widened in surprise. Alina. His voice was soft, almost relieved. She walked in, her steps firm, though her hands trembled. The city lights glittered behind him through the glass wall, casting his tall figure in a golden glow. "You've ruined everything," she whispered, her voice tight. Aariz frowned. "What do you mean?" "My mother believes you care for me. The whole world thinks I'm something to you. But you know the truth, Aariz. I only came to you because I had no choice, because my mother's life was at stake." Her words sliced through the room like blades. Aariz flinched but didn't look away. "And you think that's all I see you as? A transaction?" "Yes," she cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "That's what this began as. Don't try to make it into something else." Aariz's jaw clenched. He stepped closer, his voice trembling with raw intensity. "Alina, I could have helped you without asking for anything. Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I wanted to see you hurt? I only wanted to keep you close because losing you once was enough to break me." Her tears froze. "Losing me?" He nodded, his eyes blazing with pain. "I never forgot you. The girl who used to share her lunch with me when I had nothing. The one who sat under the old banyan tree, telling me her dreams. That girl was my world, Alina, and now she's here, standing in front of me, pretending she feels nothing." Her lips parted, but no words came. The walls she had built around her heart were crumbling under the weight of his truth. For a long charged moment, silence filled the room, broken only by the sound of the rain outside. Their eyes locked, hearts pounding, memories flooding back. Alina finally whispered, almost inaudibly, "Then why didn't you come back sooner?" Aariz's voice cracked. "Because I wasn't worthy. Not until now." The room trembled with unspoken love, pain, and longing, and for the first time, Alina realized she wasn't the only one who had been suffering in silence. The following morning was crisp and clear, as if the storm had finally lifted. Alina walked into the hospital, her heart heavy with everything Aariz had confessed the night before. His words echoed in her mind, "You were my world." She pushed open the door to her mother's room and froze. Aariz was already there, arranging fresh flowers at the bedside. Her mother was awake, smiling warmly at him. "See, Betty?" her mother said softly when she noticed Alina. "This man doesn't just help. He stays, that's the difference." Alina's throat tightened. Aariz turned, his eyes searching hers. For a moment the world fell silent. Then slowly he stepped toward her. "I've hurt you," he said quietly. "I've let you think this was about power or pity, but it was never that. It was always you, Alina. Even when we were children, even when I had nothing, I had you in my heart. And I never stopped." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "Betty, do you still not see? Allah reunited you both after all these years. Don't throw away what is written for you." Alina's tears finally fell. She looked at Aariz, and for the first time, she let herself see him, not as the CEO, not as the man who forced her into impossible choices, but as the boy she had once loved under the shade of a banyan tree. "I was angry," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But I was also scared. Scared of loving you again, scared of losing you again. I buried my feelings because I thought it was safer." Aariz stepped closer, taking her hands gently in his. "Then let me make you a promise. You will never lose me again. Not now, not ever." Her chest rose with a shaky breath, and in that moment, the walls between them collapsed completely. With her mother watching, tears of joy glistening in her eyes, Alina allowed herself to lean into him. For the first time they embraced, not as strangers bound by desperation, but as two souls who had been searching for each other all along. The hospital room, once filled with pain and despair, now held the warmth of new beginnings. And as Aariz whispered into her ear, "Forever, Alina, forever," she finally believed him.